Rainer, so much of my friends can't believe how much fun they're having again. And we've all thought there had to be a load-bearing curmudgeon that had to have gotten fired suddenly. That's why it's all good.
There is.
You do wonder why. I think some sort of large shift happened.
I have some theories. I think if you ask anyone at Blizzard, the answer will unanimously be we have hired up and we're out of the mire of COVID. We've figured out remote working principles, etc., etc. And I think there's definitely truth to that, but in a way that they'll never speak. I think there's a lot of, and this is how. So everything comes together quite well, but there's definitely elements that feel disparate. Where you kind of go, well, that feels a bit different to what I did over here. That feels different to what I did over here, and it feels to me like there's been a lot more creative delegation.
That's it.
And maybe it's because we're not in the Shadowlands anymore. Maybe it's because we're in the Dragon Isles and there's a lot more freedom and a lot less kind of, top-down creative ownership. This is entirely theoretical, of course. I feel like there's a lot more people got to go, this is a cool idea, can I put it in? But they didn't even have to ask, can I put it in? Or maybe they asked someone who was, their team lead. Because I remember in the video about the credits and counting staff, I noticed there's a lot more people considered leads of teams. Mm-hmm. Where it was like, here's all the quest designers, but no lead quest designer. I'm not sure that's true, but it was some of those were like, oh, there's a lot more people actually being lead, which means there's a lot more people going, or theoretically going, hello, lead quest designer, I have an idea for a quest, can I put it in? And they're like, so yeah, fucking sounds good. As opposed to it theoretically it being, okay, we have to feed this up the chain to someone very up. Well, we have to go and say, hello, can we have Miguel and Thomas Bright be crafters who show you give you artisan's medal every week and sit on a bench together, and that has to go on a piece of paper up to Ian for Ian to greenlight it. It feels like there's some shift in leadership that led to more delegation.
Yeah, so the whole story of things around patch 9.1.5 was people getting a little bit more autonomy.
Yeah.
That's everything we'd heard, and that certainly does seem to track through to now.
And you felt it in 9.2 as well. Big time.
Yeah,
with the protoform synthesis. That was a system that seemingly came out of nowhere. And I think, I'm sure multiple devs worked on it, but I know one was saying on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, but they were saying that they were in charge of that and led it. And you're like, that's a good ass system. A little bit grindy at times, but sometimes people like a grind in that sense. You're like, yeah. So it feels like there's a lot more of that, a lot more creativity involved in each individual quest, a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
Which does have some downsides. When you think about, hey, how come you give this super serious side quest that engages with very real feelings, and then there's just this other one that's a bit of a joke or whatever else? You're like, yeah, fucking that maybe not entirely super cohesive, but you're not going to have cohesion without downsides.
Yeah, it's like sometimes
that stuff's fine too.
More is more.
Yeah, that's I think that's one of the big takeaways. Where you go, you've got the Grand Hunt and you've also got Defend the Soup, and in a world where you have Defend the Soup, it's like, have you done the soup yet?
Funny enough, no.
There's
you've seen the cutscenes, and they're really nice.
That I was so unbelievably surprised by how much fun that was, in the way you actually did it. It was wonderful. But it's either that exists at the same time you go to the Cobalt Assembly, and you pick up Anima Power's light to murder other people, and the same time you go kill a load of beasts and fight bosses that are threatened to kill you in the world, even in a group, because they have massive spreads and stacks. You're like, nice.
Yeah, it's almost like some patch 5.3 things are being extrapolated. Remember 5.3?
Yes.
The War on the Barrens. I mean, it was janky. It was certainly an early prototype of what some sorts of content could be. Oh, yeah. It's interesting seeing a lot of that be abandoned for a long time, and then just these events and things like that, I think, coming back in a more successful fashion than the Tormentors of Torghast or the those events that took place in the Maw. I mean, even just think about that. Right now, we're dragon riding around the place at high speed, knocking out loads of content, having lots of really nice little stories. And this time, 2 years ago, we were traipsing around the Maw on foot. Mm-hmm. And they certainly do seem to have realized, hang on a second. I mean, we may have these dark, oppressive things in our game. But if we also make the game feel really dark and oppressive, then maybe it'll actually just be dark and oppressive and not fun. And that seems to have happened. The opposite's proving true now.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to overstate how important having fun and having the feeling of fun and the atmosphere of fun can contribute to actual fun. It's like an MMO. It's almost like they were so focused on making an MMO, they forgot they're making a game. In a weird sense. In a weird sense.
That's like MMO crime number one.
It really is. It really is.